Experiencing Difference, Chapter 13. In college, you will experience difference in many ways. Through difference of opinion in the classroom discussions, divergent political views, different living situations, and diversity of all types. Understanding how to work with and embrace differences will help you make the most of your college experience and better prepare you for life after college. Today, we'll be discussing difference and diversity. As a reminder, remember to treat your fellow classmates with respect and allow them to share their own viewpoints. So, this slide's entitled Acknowledge Differences, and it aligns with page 208 and going into page 209 in the textbook if you are following along. The diversity you encounter will depend on your own background and your unique college experience. Diversity involves more than race. It also includes the following items, so make a note of this. Socioeconomic status, cultural background, religion, age, learning and physical abilities, sexual orientation. Regardless of what types of differences are found on your campus, keep an open mind, which you see this as the first bullet point on the slide. However you encounter diversity and difference at college, your past matters. Keep in mind how your past may influence your reaction to the differences you encounter at college. Keeping an open mind doesn't mean that you always agree with others, but you should listen carefully and recognize that other students' backgrounds have influenced who they are, just as your background has shaped you. So you're going to see a statement regarding keeping an open mind and kind of keeping respect for yourself as well as others on one of your, either your quiz or your midterm. So keep what I just said in mind. You're going to see that again. Most of us do harbor stereotypes, even if they are subconscious judgments that we don't admit to. We develop stereotypes before we encounter diversity. So college may push you in ways you never expected. That's good. Work toward challenging and overcoming stereotypes you have brought with you to college. So this is moving on into page 210. No matter what your background is, you can make an effort to understand and respect difference. Find support around issues of diversity by engaging in meaningful activities and connecting with campus resources. Be open and willing to learn from our differences. Your differences are what make you who you are. Pretending like they don't exist means hiding who you are. Be honest with yourself and others in order to make real connections with your classmates and peers. Otherwise, your relationships will be inauthentic. It may be hard to find your place on campus, but staying true to yourself will make the experience more satisfying once you do. Five questions that can help you incorporate critical thinking into your conversations. And then there's going to be a chapter on critical thinking that you're going to see a little bit later. So now I'm around page 211. There's a light blue chart that takes up the entire page. So the 5 points that are listed here are the 5 points, the exact 5 points that you see in slightly larger type in the bluish gray chart. If you're following along with me. Okay, So it says use critical thinking in your conversations to consider difference and diversity. So number 1, what could I ask to help me learn more about another person's interests, beliefs, and background? How am I reacting during the conversation? What new perspectives am I hearing, and what more could I learn? How can I relate what I'm hearing to my own life or to the lives of others I have been interacting with? And how did the conversation impact, challenge, or even change me? So let me see if I can think of a situation. So let's look at these individually. So with number 1, think about what you might want someone to ask you if they were getting to know you in a sincere and authentic way. Consider how you want someone to ask about your background and experiences so that you can be sensitive to the types of questions that are appropriate. So there's different things there's different ways, I guess, to approach certain questions where you can show that you're genuinely interested without making people feel like they are being singled out. So watch, kind of like your tone of voice, run through the question that you're going to ask and all those different types of things. Your reaction. So evaluate your reactions and feeling as you're engaging in conversation to help you connect authentically. What do you relate to, and what can you share to reveal about that connection? And I would also say, when you're assessing your reaction to it, include not only your verbal cues, but your nonverbal cues as well. So be mindful of your body language. Are you standing up straight? Are you making, appropriate eye contact? Are you slouching? Are you, do you have your arms crossed, or are they kind of on your hips? Do you kind of look like you're disinterested, but you're pretending to be interested? All those different things kind of play a role, like where you can actually verbally say one thing, but the message can be lost in translation because what your body language is saying could convey a completely different message, and we want to make sure that the message is consistent. With number 3, when we're talking about getting things from a new perspective, think deeply about any new perspectives you've encountered and consider what additional questions you have. And then when you're trying to make a connection or relate these things that you're hearing to your own lives or to other people's lives that you're close to, what you can do is take time to reflect on your own background and life experiences so that you become aware of the commonalities and connections that do exist. And then lastly, when you're assessing how that lasting effect of this conversation or this interaction, assess what impact the conversation had in your life, how your own beliefs might have been challenged or confirmed, and whether your own thinking has been altered in any way. So I'll give you guys an example of something that one of my friends brought up. So when I was at UT, a lot of the friends that I made, and the ones that I still have today, are from far South Texas, primarily along the border. That's a very homogeneous population. So for some of the people, their perception of people that was different from them, so whether we're talking about physical attributes, religious attributes, cultural attributes, was completely based on what they saw on TV and what they heard on the radio and in pop culture. They had actually never experienced or interacted with, other people from other ethnic backgrounds. So when I remember meeting, actually one of my college roommate, for example, And I know in that case, I remember some people saying, oh, well, you're the first African American person that I've actually met, like in person, because in South Texas, there aren't any. Or, with some of the friends that might be from different Asian or Pacific countries, that's the same thing. So they encountered that too for the first time. And I remember them telling me, okay, what I thought I was going to experience when I met you versus actually meeting you, it actually doesn't match up. I really thought you were going to sound a certain way, and I really thought you were going to act a certain way. But then meeting you, I realized, wow, I'm actually completely blown away. It's like, whoa, it doesn't match. It's like, well, what were you guys watching? It's like, they basically formed all their opinions about me around watching BET. Yeah. So when they realized, well, wait a minute, she doesn't sound like some of these people I've seen on TV. She's very studious. She doesn't dress like some of these people I've seen on TV. That actually, in getting to know me, that actually kind of opened the door for some of the people from these from South Texas to branch out while they were in class to meet people that were different from them. And in moving to Austin, what they encountered is everybody did not look like them. So instead of being the majority, so in South Texas, what I was told is from a lot of the towns, they said, oh, most of these towns are, 97, 98% Latino. So they didn't really encounter anybody else that looked different. There may have been somebody else that was from a different Spanish-speaking country, so not just Mexico, but there could have been an occasion, like a family from El Salvador or Honduras. Let me see what else is on there. Guatemala. But as far as, like I said, people from some of these other non-Spanish speaking countries, they weren't receiving actual real life experiences just because the people didn't live down there. So that was something that was kind of different. Okay, so we're going to move on. Create meaningful connections. So I am on page 212 of the textbook, and we're going to kind of examine what's on here, okay? So this is going to be your opportunity to connect with like-minded students. So what I've experienced as new students come into TCC is in some cases people will tell me, well, I have no support system. I don't have anybody else that's thinking about advancing or furthering their education, gaining new job skills. Everybody around me is actually being very negative about it. So this is your opportunity to develop a support system and a new home. And that's what's going to help move you forward. Because, even I've encountered pushback with, going to college and different things like that. Oh, you go to college? You went to college, and oh, so you must think that you're this. You must think that you're smarter than us. You think you're better than us. This is beneath you. And that's not the case at all. But people have these preconceived notions. And in some cases, for deciding to further your education, whether it's to earn a degree or enhance your skills to get a promotion at work, sometimes you're perceived as a threat. So ideally, you want to build those connections with those positive people that are also trying to move forward. So you can still engage in meeting diverse people as well. And you may find with meeting some of these diverse people, it's like, hey, these guys are really serious about advancing their education and improving their circumstances at home too, and they're really positive and encouraging. I'm gonna want to hang around with these people and distance myself from the negativity and the toxic people that are in my life. Not necessarily cut them off, but distance yourself from it, because in some cases it can be a distraction. And one way to connect with these like-minded students is through joining meaningful clubs and organizations. So through our student activities, in addition to cultural-based organizations, we do have organizations based on special interest, as well as by major. So if you are a business student, we do have business organizations. We have organizations for our future teachers. We have organizations for our future engineers. And so we do have cultural-based organizations. We do have religious-based organizations, political-based organizations, all those different things that, you can join, more than one, and kind of blend those different experiences together to help make you a more well-rounded person. And then too, look for campus resources. Seek out safe spaces of support, raise awareness, and receive assistance. So that's on page 213. So a lot of the different universities, for example, may have some specialized offices. So I know just some ideas of that might be a Center for Multicultural Advancement, a Center for Women Office, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the Office of Multicultural Affairs, the Veteran Services Office, and like the Disability Support Offices. So that's the Student Accessibility Resources Office for us. So in those cases, you can find that safe space and then branch out from there. And in doing that also, you could find mentors within these safe spaces. So for the vets and other people that are affiliated with the military, whether you're a dependent or spouse of it, that life is different. I am the child of a veteran. So moving off, just for me, moving off of base to adjusting to life as a civilian, it was 180 degree kind of whirlwind. I was in shock when we moved out of Fort Hood and moved up here to Dallas Fort Worth, with not just with the size of the city, but just everything. The way of life was just completely different. So being able to connect with other other students that weren't necessarily in the military, but their parents or grandparents were, and they had kind of been raised in that military household, was something that resonated with me. So one of my college roommates, that's actually kind of how we met. Come to find out, it's actually really funny. When we met in college, come to find out, his godparents lived 2 doors down from where I lived. 2 doors away. We lived on the same street, and his godparents used to babysit us. They babysat us for 5 years. And in sitting down and talking more, we discovered that we did go to the same elementary school, and our classes were right next door to each other. And it's like, and when he said that, I was like, wait, you were in Miss Ramos's class? I was in Miss Riddle's class. Our classrooms were connected. They had the retractable doors, and our teachers would team teach. And it's like, wait, so that means I did meet you when we were 8 years old at some point. How funny is that? And then we reconnected 10 years later. And with the godparents, his little cousin, she was in my brother's kindergarten class. So it's so funny how life brings people together. I mean, in my case, I was born in Georgia and moved to Texas. In his case, his mother's from Thailand, his father's from Saipan out in the Pacific. He was born in Saipan and ended up in Texas, and we ended up in Texas and Fort Hood specifically at the same time, and had no idea. And then, so talk to other students, and I'll have to tell you guys in class how that conversation came about. It was actually a mutual friend. And take classes focused on issues of diversity, so that's another way that you can get involved. Okay, so if we move on from here to diversity resources, so that is the chart on page 215, and you can kind of glance through what some of these points are. And as you search through these points, also search your college website to find out what services are offered that are focused on issues of diversity and difference. Find out what resources might benefit you and make an effort to reach out. Get involved by visiting offices or clubs, meeting staff members, or interacting with other involved peers. So a lot of things that you're going to see on campus is a lot of our different student organizations will hold special events. So they're not restricted to members of the organization. A lot of times they have these events to educate the community about what the student organization's mission is. So if you see, an organization out there doing different things with engaging in an event, feel free to go check it out and go ask some questions. So even if you don't join, you may think, hey, well, you know what, this might be a good fit for, one of my friends. Oh, I'm not a business student, but my sister's a business student. Let me take some information and see if she's interested in joining. Those different types of things. Okay. And let's see what else we've got here. We're almost done, y'all. And then learn from differences. So this is on page 216. And it actually talks about different types of communication. So we're going to look at this here. So while it's important to find your place on campus, don't discount the value of learning from those who are different from you. Push yourself outside your comfort zone by taking advantage of opportunities to interact with people from various backgrounds and belief systems. The best way to explore diversity at your college is through communication. So you're going to see a reference to this previous note somewhere on a quiz or a exam. So hint, hint. Ask others about their lives and where they come from. Share openly about yourself. Being able to communicate authentically tears down barriers between people, which are often based on fear, and the fear of the unknown and the unfamiliar. Communication helps you connect with someone else, removing awkwardness that may exist. You may not become best friends with everyone you meet, and that's okay. But anything could happen when you make an effort to get to know someone. When you listen closely to other people and understand what experiences have shaped their lives, you'll be able to understand who they are and the differences they bring to the table. It can be hard to try new things and to make yourself vulnerable, but taking the risk and doing so can lead to strong connections with others. Stepping out of your comfort zone will also help you learn about yourself and grow as an individual. You may be surprised by what you find that you enjoy. So that's what I was saying, especially with some of these different organizations that are out there, when you go check out some of the different events, you may discover hidden interest that you never knew that you had because you were never exposed to them. So that's why I encourage you to, get out there and kind of try different things out and take full advantage of the college experience. So just remember with authentic communication, and remember what the positive result that can result from that. So remember, it can tear down those barriers between people and help them make meaningful connections with each other. And then with mutual respect, so you see I've said this about 3 or 4 times already. You don't have to agree, and you won't always agree with others, and that's okay. But make an effort to respect them. So acknowledge what they are feeling. So you can acknowledge without discounting or discrediting what they're saying. And we're going to move on to the very last slide now. Five strategies to bridge differences. And if you're following along in the textbook, I am on page 216 of my copy of the book. It's the third to the last page in the book. This content is located inside of the blue chart on page 216 under the paragraph heading Learn from Differences, and it's on the bottom 2/3 of the page. So be familiar with these 5 points because you may see these again later. Organize a study session. Plan an outing or group activity. Share food that is traditional or special in your life. Share pictures. And lastly, open up about struggles you have experienced in your past and at college. So I will say this about this particular section right here. In organizing the study sessions, this allowed me not only to complete the coursework at hand, but it also allowed me to think about and approach the coursework differently because I had 4 or 5 other people to draw on that participated in that same learning activity, whether it was a lecture, a hands-on activity, a group discussion, or anything like that. And it provided me with a little bit more content as far as, maybe there's something that I didn't catch during that particular presentation, but somebody else in the group is bringing it up. So in doing that, that can help you develop some of your additional content. And then in also that last point where it refers to opening up about struggles you have experienced in your past at college, I would say that in doing that, that is how I developed the different relationships that I had with those friends. So from 2003 to 2007, those are the friendships that endured throughout the time. Those are the people that I'm still friends with. And it was through letting down those walls and letting people in that I was able to make a meaningful connection with the people, as well as feel safe and develop that support system and that family away from home. And I guess the way that we all connected is every one of us, the people that I'm really close friends with now, every one of us had some sort of life altering on the verge of traumatic event that occurred in the past, and we helped each other recover from that. And our mantra was, hey, we all started this journey together. We're all going to finish this journey together. No one gets left behind. Our past does not define us. We will learn from it, and we will move on and move forward in it. So this is the conclusion of chapter 13, Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day. Goodbye.